and then I'll start speaking.
So we're live.
Good afternoon to all the viewers of Animation Express. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you for being here on our social media pages, Facebook, and wherever else we are telecasting from. There's no letting up at all. SARS-CoV-2 infected around 49,000 people in India yesterday and killed 690. And there seems to be no end road in sight. We live on carefully with the utmost precaution, masking, sanitizing, and social distancing. Despite that, COVID 2019 is spreading. No, that does not mean we should get fatalistic and forego the precautions and embrace the virus. We need to continue following the protocol and living on. And if it strikes us, fight it bravely, positively, knowing that our body's defense mechanism is strong enough to fight it. Remember, out of the 16 million infected globally, only 646,000 people have died. Around 10 million have recovered. So can you. Good afternoon again. Animated movies and series, whether it is the work of Studio Ghibli or the work of Disney, really transport me into another world. Both are very different genres. The first is very realistic and art house in a way, the latter escapist and fantasy driven. There are, of course, hundreds of other makers who put their heart and soul into creating work which can take you to another realm. And all respect to all of them. Thankfully, the pandemic has not really impacted animation studios. They have been working as though it's business as usual, though remotely and virtually. Episodes for kids' TV have been churned out. Ad films relying on animation have been produced. And thankfully, that was one well-lit area in an otherwise very dark media and entertainment terrain during the lockdown and the peak of the pandemic, or when the pandemic wasn't really dealt with clearly. And it's a big hurrah that animation was around and work was going on as expected. Hi, I'm Anand Vanwari, the founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of the 20-year-old Indian Television.com group, of which Animation Express is a part. The group runs successful properties such as India's leading cable and satellite, DTH, OTT, advertising, marketing, media, B2B business, and news and information service, IndianTelevision.com. We also have Telechakka.com, which is India's leading TV fan platform, as well as for OTT shows and OTT actors, which generates 1 billion views a year from 100 million unique viewers. We also run India's largest FM radio and music B2B and B2C destination, radioandmusic.com, and the world's third largest VFX animation, comics, and gaming destination, animationexpress.com. This apart, of course, we produced India's oldest and most popular awards for the television fraternity, which is actors, actresses, and behind-the-scenes professionals, called the Indian Tele Awards. The Content Hub, the gathering of India's content creators for film, TV, as well as for OTT. And about 1,000 people attended every year. And they talk about how they can make these different creative outputs better. VidNet, India's largest gathering of OTT professionals, whether it's from technology, whether it's from creative, whether it's from business, or whether it's from the vendors. Brandvid, collection of brands who rely on video to communicate directly with consumers. The Media and HR Summit, amongst several other properties. Of course, last year we started the Kids Animation and More Summit, which was hugely successful. And we also started the AN Awards, which are doing very, very well. And we are associated with the Digicon Asia Awards, which we are currently curating this year. The winner will, of course, be flown to Hong Kong, and it'll be great fun for him to be there. I was there last year. I personally look after MIPCOM, MIPTV, which are the world's two largest content get-togethers for creators, distributors. They happen in Cannes. And Asia Television Forum, which happens in Singapore. Again, Asia's largest gathering of content creators, whether it's animation or live action. And Esports Bar, as I'm the sales agent for India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh for these three markets. And I also put together the entire conferences which are featuring India. I'm delighted to bring you another fireside chat under Animation Express. This time, it's with another much celebrated animation industry professional. Animation and filmmaking runs in his DNA. His father, Bhimsen Khurana, worked closely with the godfather of Indian animation, Ram Mohan, in the 60s. With that in his genes, the fact that his father was such a great pioneer animator, Kirit had no choice but to follow that calling. After doing his BA in economics, he went to the famed Canadian Sheridan College and then came back to India to work with his father at Klein Films. And there's been no looking back. He's made over 12 short films and over 500 ad films. We will learn more about him and what keeps Kirit ticking during the course of this fireside chat. Welcome, Kirit. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Anil. It's a pleasure, and it's a great time that we are talking. I think pandemic होता नहीं है तभी तो आदमी कोई मिलते नहीं है वैसे भी हम लोग कभी बातचीत करते नहीं है तो I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to connect during the pandemic, and there've been a lot of conversations going on, so it's great to be back. And of course, I'm a big supporter of Animation Express. Over the years, it has really created a huge impact in the animation industry right since its inception. So kudos to you and your team for the vision and providing the support that the animation industry needs.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And most of all, thank you for agreeing to be on a fireside chat with me. So how are you today? What's been going on?
Just enjoying a lazy Sunday, except that I don't know it's a Sunday, you know. सब दिन जो है सारे के सारे एक दूसरे के अंदर merge हो रहे हैं, they all melding into each other, and it's all crazy. But yeah, we've been kind of busy and doing a lot of other things apart from cleaning vessels and cleaning the house. Which
तो
is
बीबी बर्तन का काम करा रही है हाँ बीबी.
सब कुछ हो रहा है तो वो भी हो रहा है ये भी हो रहा है. But it's kind of interesting. So it's a very interesting thing. So in fact, the office is open, but I don't go to the office nowadays. So yeah, pretty much.
क्या मान रहा है? ऑफिस क्यों नहीं जा रहे हो? अभी घर में बहुत खुश हो गए आप.
Yeah, actually there are no meetings happening, right? And in the office also, it's a kind of a closed environment. It's a closed office, so it's a bit risky. And I think all of the things are being managed from home because we are doing all the Zoom meetings with the team. So I do go to the office once a week or twice a week, but pretty much everything is getting managed over here, sitting here. And I think all of the projects that we're working on, the teams are sitting in different locations. So my editor is in Jaipur, and somebody else is in Bangalore, and they are all over the place. And I don't know where they are, most of the people, and we're just working with them. And it's all happening.
ठीक है. So जिंदगी आपकी ये क्या आवाज आ रहा है आपके यहाँ? पता नहीं कैसे आवाज आ रहा है जब भी हम बात कर रहे हैं.
Sorry?
कोई प्रॉब्लम है लग रहा है. बहुत आवाज आ रहा है जब मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Can you hear a lot of noise when I'm speaking to you?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing echoes, a lot of echoes.
Oh really? Okay.
Can the other people turn off their audio? Okay, let it go. That's fine.
Audios are off. Okay. Just give me 30.
Okay, let's get on
10
with
seconds.
It. Okay.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Somewhat?
better now.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
But when I'm speaking, it's echoing. That's the challenge. We'll have to figure that out. But nonetheless,
Okay.
let's get on with it and let's move with it. So,
Sure.
Life has treated you well during the pandemic and the lockdown, and it's treating you well now that we are opening up. What's kept you busy?
Yeah, I did not expect, to be honest, when it started off, I did not expect. But, somehow, serendipitously, we have forged a lot of relationships. We have a lot of people coming on board who unfortunately had either quit their jobs just before the pandemic, incidentally, and were looking to move on to another company, or during the pandemic, there were some people who actually quit their jobs, obviously, because of the fact that they were not getting paid their salaries. And so a new team that is coming into place as well, a new team that is constituting with different kind of capabilities and different kind of possibilities. So all kind of new combinations are happening, and it's very interesting because we did a lot of projects and we are pretty productive that way. I would add that most of my projects that I'm working on right now don't pay money, but the fact is that they keep us sharp and they keep us busy, and I think that creatively they are really up there. So from that perspective, it's a very fruitful and a very happy journey from so far.
So why don't they pay you money?
Sorry?
Why don't they pay you money? You said most of my projects don't pay me money.
Because I think I wanted to. These are projects that I wanted. So there are some projects that are commissioned also. I'm not saying, I didn't say all of them don't pay money, but there are some projects that I wanted to do, which I wanted to tell some stories, right? And as it happens that if there was if there was a regular process, then perhaps we would have gotten too busy making money that those projects wouldn't have ever happened. So there are certain ideas that you have, there are certain thoughts that you have, and because you have that additional time now, and you're still trying to figure out how you're going to put things in place. And there are teams available right now because of the fact that they themselves are out of job, or they are more available and more free. So we put together some really interesting projects that we're working on right now. And I think it's really been very fruitful. Creatively, it has been very fruitful. Monetarily, I would not say so, because I think all of us are in the same boat, but that's fine. But purely from a perspective, from a self gratification perspective, honestly, Anil, एक मुकाम आता है लाइफ में कि अभी 500 ऐड बनाए हैं मैंने, 3 फीचर्स में काम किया है, बाकी चीजें की हुई हैं, और काफी काफी सारे पब्लिक सर्विस फिल्म्स बनाए थे, कमीशन पब्लिक सर्विस फिल्म्स बनाए हैं. तो एक मुकाम आता है कि व्हेन लाइफ मूव्स फ्रॉम एम्बिशन टू पर्पस, and this is a switch that it has been for me as far as the pandemic is concerned, that I am looking at more at purpose now than ambition. Of course ambition stays, but it is more about how do you find meaning in what is happening, and what is it that you really want to say, and what is it that is a statement of your life. And so I'm trying to find that, and I think I'm getting that satisfaction, and I'm getting that closer to what I want to do.
And what is that?
Been working on some very interesting projects. So for example, one of the projects that we worked on recently was कि सईद मिर्जा जो है, जो फिल्म मेकर जिनके साथ मैंने डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनाई थी, सईद मिर्जा द लेफ्टिस्ट सूफी, उनके साथ एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनाई थी जो नेटफ्लिक्स में, इट वाज एट नंबर 3 एज पर हिंदू, एंड एज पर Vogue India it was number 7. And so it is among the top Indian documentaries. Of course, it's just gone off after a 3-year release. It has just gone off now. It's not
rights are available now.
Rights are available right now.
Fantastic.
So we're looking at another platform, but it had a 3-year run on Netflix. Now, so Saeed happens to be my neighbor, right? Mm-hmm. And Saeed happens to be my neighbor, and Saeed and I collaborated on a couple of projects also. So what I did was I worked on a series called The Story of Nukkad. So उन्होंने एक, आपको याद होगा वो नुक्कड़ की सीरीज आई थी,
बहुत ऐसे भूल सकते हैं.
तो उसके ऊपर मैंने बोला सईद को कि अगर आप वो सीरीज के बीच में जेनेसिस क्या है, उसके पीछे थॉट प्रोसेस क्या है, आप कैसे आप वो आइडिया लेकर आए हैं, और हर एक एपिसोड का एक संक्षेप में आप समझाएं कि वो स्टोरी का जर्म कहाँ से आया, वो स्टोरी का मतलब क्या है. तो वी हैव डन सम 17 एपिसोड्स अबाउट 8 to 15 minutes each, which is right now on YouTube. And it's called The Story of Nukkad. And that's becoming extremely popular as well. Been covered with the media as well a lot. So that is something that we are working on right now. We've just finished right now, apart from another series that I'm working with. So the advantage is also that Saeed, because he's my neighbor, I could shoot him in my house. And we've been spending a lot more time, because usually he's traveling a lot. But wo bhi phase mein ghar pe. He usually writes his books and he goes to Goa, or he goes to Ladakh, or he goes to other places. He's a very prolific traveler, but he's also stranded. So we've been interacting a lot. So I've been working on those 2 series. One of them is, of course, The Story of Nukkad, which is just finished, and the other one is in post-production, which is called Danny Banega Desh Story, which is a very interesting talk show as well. So these are 2 things that we worked on.
Danny Banega Desh Story अंदर कौन ले रहा है?
So there are 3 people. There is Saeed, and there is Romi Khosla, he's an architect, and there is Pooja Swaroop, who's an actor as well. So we shot this over 3 locations. Of course, it is a talk show, but it's like a Zoom kind of a thing, but it's not the Zoom thing. So it's actually being shot through the camera. But while they were conversing, it was the conversation was being conducted over Zoom, but they were being independently shot across 3 locations. So that's what the basic format of the show is. And of course, it's a very interesting topic.
What's the topic?
Topic is basically about current issues and politics to a certain extent. Of course, we're not getting into very specifics, but it is about values. It is about nationhood. It is about what makes India, and what makes us Indians, and what is the meaning of Indianness. So broadly speaking, these are the topics that we touched upon.
सही बोला आपने. सईद मिर्जा साहब कैसे हैं? आपके नेबर है, कैसे हैं? उनकी तबीयत कैसी है? उनकी तो उम्र
First
हो गई
class.
होगी 70
First
साल की
class.
अभी कम से कम.
He's 76. He's absolutely healthy. He's absolutely fine. He's still sharp. He's witty. You can see the. If you want, I can show you one episode of,
Please go
or I can show you the trailer of
Nukkad.
story of Nukkad.
बताइए प्लीज, चलाइए.
एक मिनट मैं अपना स्क्रीन शेयर करता हूँ अभी फिलहाल, और ये स्क्रीन शेयर किया मैंने.
इधर है आपका, मुझे पता चल रहा है. हाँ, स्टोरी.
ये है ये मैं ट्रेलर लगा देता हूँ आपके लिए.
वो ठीक रहेगा.
ट्रेलर ठीक रहेगा. So this basically we're taking clips from the series as well.
ओके, ऑडियो जरा बजा दो ना.
The problem with Zoom is that the audio doesn't come when I'm playing a video, and that's a typical symptom. But people can see the series on YouTube. It's on the Hamara Movie channel, and you can see it over there. And the idea is that I had fun shooting with Saeed. We shot him for about 4 or 5 days for these 17 episodes. So a lot of us will recall this iconic series that we had. It was a wonderful series, and I thought it was very important for the nation. It had a certain inclusiveness and empathy, which I feel that is missing now, or it is depleting. So this is what I shot. Of course, there's a lot of post-production that we've done in this. So anyway, I guess you can't hear the.
समझ में आ रहा है, कुछ अच्छा लग रहा है.
हाँ, तो you want me to keep playing, or we can go on to the next?
चलते रहो, बजाते रहो यार, चलाते रहो.
Okay. So this is.
You can continue talking while you're playing it. Tell us more. Continue speaking, no?
So the idea is that, of course, Saeed spoke about every single episode, every single important episode. There was about 42 episodes or something about Nukkad, but we chose to speak about 17 episodes, including the genesis of Nukkad. Nukkad का idea आया कहाँ से? 3 लोग involved थे उसमें, Saeed, Aziz और Kundan, और कैसे वो process हुआ. So in some sense, it is an iconic series, obviously, and it is a very defining series, this one, the story of Nukkad, because a lot of people would want to know how the series was actually made. Sorry. This is not mine.
Definitely.
Right. So this is what it is. And the idea is that, so this has been keeping me busy. Of course, there were other things that I was also doing. Mm-hmm. I also made a animation short film called Pravasi. I was very, very disturbed by what I saw with the migrants, the kind of atrocities against the migrants, the kind of dehumanizing of the migrants and the way they were treated. Especially the lockdown was so severe for them, and neither they could stay in their places, neither they could, neither could they move out, neither they could stay because they didn't have the money to eat, or they didn't have the rent to pay, and the landlords were pushing them out. And of course, we saw those visuals, and we saw that almost lakhs of people out on the streets, and it was very, very heart-wrenching, and it was very painful because even when they were getting out, the police was beating them up, and some of them were almost reached their homes, and then they died on the way. So it was very, very gut-wrenching, and you felt helpless because you were sitting at your home and you were obeying the orders of the government that you need to sit at home and you need to just not get out so that the virus can be contained. And it was very painful because those days I was completely consumed by what was happening on TV, and it was very, very shameful that the country had to go through it. So as a nation, I thought we had failed. Not just the government, but the people and everybody, so many of us could have supported so much.
Actually, it did happen. Quite a few friends who went out and they actually fed people on the highways. I had enough troops.
Yes.
Shirish Joshi was running a campaign which was helping a Project Mumbai. And I had another friend, a filmmaker who working for a Korean company. She was helping out and she was doing things. Then Anup Soni did, not Anup Soni, what's his name? Anup Sood did a lot of stuff. So it
Sonu
was a lot
Sood.
gloomy and dark. Yes, it's shameful. I agree
Yeah.
with
Yes.
but nonetheless, there were people who extended their hand, and you did it in
Absolutely.
your own way also.
Absolutely, and there were thousands of people who extended the hands, but there were millions of people who were walking. So the exodus was much larger than what a
Absolutely.
few good people could help. And I have quite a few friends also who helped, and
Yeah.
we were trying to help them as in the best of our ability as well. But the magnitude of the problem was so overwhelming that it was very shameful. So it seemed like a repeat of 1947, right? And what made it worse was the police brutality and the fact that the administration was not supportive of the fact that ये लोग करें क्या, मतलब ये लोग अगर या तो भूखे मर जाएंगे अपने रूम में बैठ के, या उनको खदेड़ा जाएगा उनके कमरों से, क्योंकि उनका जो है वो जो लैंडलॉर्ड है वो बोल रहा है कि भागो यहाँ से क्योंकि तुम रेंट नहीं पे कर पा रहे. These are daily wage workers. I mean, how are they going to make money? How are they going to pay the rent and everything? So you could see their tears, and you could see many of them saying कि हमको मार ही दो यार, खत्म करो हमको. So I made a film on that. I would like to share that film.
Please go ahead.
And for this we were lucky because I made this film and I saw some very talented artists, this very talented artist who worked with me earlier. He started his career with me from NID, and I saw him making these painful 2 3 second 5 second videos and posting it online. And I told him कि यार ये 4 5 second का video बहुत painful है तेरा, but इसमें story नहीं है. How about if I give you a story and I give you the visuals कि इस तरह से होना चाहिए, I string together a narrative for you, would you be interested in doing the animation for it? And he agreed because he was also pained by what he saw. And so we constructed this, and luckily he was also available and he was equally pained by what was happening. And then when it came out so beautiful that I said, okay, let's just see if we can get a celebrity to do the voiceover for us. And we started looking for a celebrity with a heart in the right place. And I thought Tapsi, because I knew her from before. I said, let me just send her a SMS. जहाँ से ज़्यादा ना बोलेगी और क्या. But Tapsi agreed, and of course this video went to millions and it became extremely popular. Also, it has been made in 12 different languages. So that is also another thing that is we had to be actually converted in 12 different languages. And it's called Pravasi. So I'm just going to share that video with you.
Yes, share the video.
One second. Sorry, I'm just trying to share the video.
Share it. I'm just coming back in a second.
Yeah, this is the video.
Oh, the scene of spraying the laborers.
So this became an instant viral, and it was covered by NDTV, it was covered by India Today, it was covered by Huffington Post, it was covered by at least 20, 30 publications, Wire, Scroll, whole lot of top publications, and it became an instant hit because people could relate to the material. And of course, I think it's got millions and millions of shares already. So this is something that I just did it because I just felt about it. I did not know that it would go so far or succeed so much. And this is sort of in some way a cathartic way of expressing what I was feeling at that time. And so I wrote the poetry, and I just felt so upset and so angry about whatever was happening, and so helpless at the same time, that it just sort of something that came straight from the heart. And I found some a rare wonderful artist to kind of help me with this rendition, and we together collaborated and we created this. And of course, Sune Pe Suhaga ye ho gaya ke Tapsi also agreed to be part of it, and we got it done in 11 languages. In many of those languages we have celebrities also who have spoken, so it's gone India wide already.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
There's a lot of activity on Facebook right now. We've got a frame box from FC Road saying, "Really great to hear from you, Kirit sir."
Yeah, okay.
Again, Sham Badgujar is saying, "Hello, sir. Sham from Frame Box."
Hi.
Then Lakhan Surwade, "Hello, I'm Lakhan from Frame Box Indoor." I don't know if you know these people.
No, I think Framebox, because I've been associated with Framebox, I guess all these, and Framebox has shared it also, the event. So I guess a lot of people from Framebox have shown up because I've done a lot of talks at Framebox as well. So I'm sure I would have bumped into them.
Great.
So that's what we've been doing. Of course, I'm also working on a documentary which is in the post production, which is on the homeless, right, of the homeless of India. I shot this last year. It is under post production. For post production, obviously because of the lockdown and all, we lost about 3-4 months, but now things are back on track, and we are editing the film right now. In fact, the first cut is already ready as well. So we've got some important people associated with the project, and we've got some important people to back us up as well. It's a wonderful story of a guy called Tariq Mohammed, who's actually is a crusader for the homeless, and he runs an organization called Koshish, which is part of TIS, the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And there are some 70 million homeless people in this. अच्छा आपको ये पता है क्या? The beggars on the street, they are actually treated as criminals. You know this? There is a law that can get them arrested. So if you are walking in the streets with फटे हुए आप कपड़े पहन के जाओगे अगर आप स्ट्रीट्स में, तो आपको पुलिस अरेस्ट कर सकती है अंडर दैट लॉ.
Under what? Indian Penal Code? किसके under है?
So there is a anti-beggary act, the Bombay Anti-Beggary Act of 1959, and that act is so draconian that anybody can be arrested on the suspicion of beggary. You don't even need to be a beggar. So all these daily wage workers who do not have a shelter, who sleep on the road, or the taxi walas who ply their taxis, or the गजरा जो बेचते हैं या फूल बेचते हैं या फिर आपके जो छोटी छोटी चीजें बेचते हैं, हॉकर्स हैं, बाकी लोग हैं जो सड़क पे सोते हैं, उन सबको जो है पुलिस अरेस्ट करती है और करती रहेगी. और ये लॉ जो है 1959 का जो है, इट्स अ ड्रैकोनियन लॉ. And so the idea was that I got associated with this gentleman called Tariq, and he's done some wonderful work in this space. And he's also the recipient of Forbes 30 under 30. And I was so impressed and deeply moved by what he was doing that I decided to make a film on him. That was in 2015. But it was not till 2019 that I actually, because I got busy with my feature film and stuff like that with Tifa Taj Mahal. It was not until 2019 that I actually started making the film. Last year we started shooting the film, and it's in the post production. So we're hoping to complete it in the next 3-4 months. So music bhi chal raha hai, editing bhi chal rahi hai. I'd like to show the teaser trailer for the film.
Please.
This is also something that's been keeping me busy. This particular film, which is called The Invisible Visible, और इसका हिंदी टाइटल है एक कोशिश.
क्या ये बंदे हैं वो जो चला दें कोशिश? The gentleman wearing glasses.
So this is a film. It's about an hour and a half long. Right now, we're chopping it down to about an hour or so. It's there was some very very heart wrenching scenes because एक aspect जो इनके जो activity का है वो है repatriation also, and they are repatriating people. So there are certain people who have left homes, they have left their villages 20 years ago or 25 years ago, और गांव में झगड़ा हुआ या अपने अपने घर में झगड़ा हुआ, बड़ों के साथ झगड़ा हुआ, बड़े भाई के साथ झगड़ा हुआ, किसी के साथ झगड़ा हुआ, भाभी के साथ झगड़ा हुआ, फिर उन्होंने बोला कि हम जा रहे हैं अभी और हम बड़े शहर में जाएंगे और हम कमाएंगे, उधर ही खाएंगे और अब हम सिर्फ लौटेंगे जब हम सक्सेसफुल होंगे। अब वो 20 साल निकल गए उस बात को, 18 साल निकल गए, किसी केसेस में 25 साल निकल गए और फिर वो अभी आ रहे हैं अपने, और वो बीमार पड़ गए, जैसे फ्लाईओवर के नीचे ही रह रहे हैं या सड़क पे ही रह रहे हैं 15 साल, 20 साल, 25 साल, and they have no choice now because they have fallen ill, so they have landed up at the shelter, and now their families are called to help them and to take them back home, and that reunion, you know, कि वो जो ईगो को, अपने छोटे से ईगो को लेके पकड़ के बैठे हुए इतने साल तक, और that reunion of the with the family is, it's so heart wrenching. So we've captured some of those also. It's really really something that really brings tears to your eyes, you know. It's so remarkable the kind of work that they're doing, because they trace the families back, they rehabilitate the people as well. And these homeless people on the road are not any different from you and me. They're just people who are, who are a victim of the circumstances that they are. So some of them have been thrown out by their own children, or they left homes, or some of them suffering from dementia, lost their way and landed up in the streets. People like you and me. There's one doctor who's suffering from schizophrenia, and he's a MD and he's speaking in fluent English, and he's suffering from schizophrenia. So his family disowned him and he's landed up on the streets, and he's living in the streets for 15, 20 years. And he talks in fantastic English. So he talks about I have mental health issues, and he's actually says it in English. जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ अभी वैसे ही बोलता है कि I have mental health issues and I have schizophrenia and I have to take medication regularly to kind of just be fine mentally. So it's quite remarkable what these stories are all about. So I had a great time shooting this thing. We shot for about 52 days last year, and this film luckily landed up in the post-production just about the time when the pandemic happened, right? And of course, my editor is in Jaipur right now, so we do it over Zoom and we are discussing. So काम हमारा रुक नहीं रहा है. So I'm lucky that there are certain projects that are in pre-production, some certain projects that are in post-production. और ये जो 2-3 मिनट की एनिमेशन फिल्में जो बना रहा हूँ, प्रवासी और एक दो और फिल्में जो बना रहा हूँ, एक फिल्म का नाम है संवाद और एक का दूसरी का नाम है एहसान. So these 2-3 short films like Pravasi, I'm making those films also. So that is something that obviously animation है तो वो कहीं पे भी हो सकता है. And so one of the girls who's working with me, Triparna, she's from Kolkata, and she's working on this film called Samvad. And there's one girl, Srijani, she's also from Kolkata, and this is in collaboration with Paperboard, Soumitra Ranade ki jo company hai. So but the lead animator or the lead visualizer, she is in Kolkata, so uske saath chal raha hai, and we're making this film called Ehsan. So there are new associations, there are new collaborations that are coming in place, and I think it's a wonderful time. A lot of people in advertising also I meet right now who are willing to recalibrate realign themselves. And so there's a great opportunity for people to actually come together and look at their lives and collaborations in a completely different way. I have seen personally that people who were earlier unwilling to collaborate all of a sudden are open to the idea, okay, we're all in the same boat now, let's collaborate. So at least the people I'm meeting, of course, the pandemic has also brought the worst in us, but it's also brought the best in us. Like you said, the good Samaritans like Sonu Sood, there are many people who are contributing. And the true character of many individuals, whether it's good or bad, is actually come out. And so I've seen a lot of people change during the pandemic, and it's great because, that's what life does. When it's stress, that's when you really get to know the person, what it is all about, what he or she is all about.
So the audience is appreciating what you're sharing with them. Devin Patel says, congratulations, sir. Akshay More is saying hi to you. Shubhi Taneja is saying, hello, sir. Shubhi from Box. I've got
Oh,
somebody saying hi to me. Pooja, thank you for saying hi. I thought you only
hi.
no,
Hi,
Pooja is saying
Pooja.
hi to you, not to me. No, hi to me, not
Okay.
somebody saying hi
Okay.
to me. Thank you very much, Pooja. I appreciate your hi and a big hi to you back. Let's get on with that conversation. So you've been busy and which is good. You normally run a lean and mean team. Why have you chosen to take this route or this route?
What route?
A lean and mean team, not a very, you're not scaled up. You continue doing things uh,
Yeah. एक तो अनिल, अभी तो जो रियलिटी है वो ये है कि lean and mean teams only will survive, right? That's one thing. There was a time that we used to employ close to about 80 people, right? But Toonpur, when I made Toonpur ka superhero, the feature film with Ajay and Kajol, at times we had teams that were 400 people as well, right? But of course, that was just for the project. But when we were doing advertising, 30-40 बंदे हमारे employed होते थे, और 30-40 at any given point we were on freelance. We were always constantly hiring people. But when I started moving away from animation and I started looking outside of animation and collaborating on the live action front, then it became more of a regular production house, which is 12-15 people. Okay, even 8 sometimes. So between 8 and 15 is our strength. And what we do is we hire technicians. So if I'm a production house, if I have an animation project, I will hire an animation studio. Let them do what they want to do. So that sort of works because the way I'm growing is as an individual. I see myself growing organically. So I'm doing all kind of different things. I made a feature film also, Tipa Taj Mahal, as you know. It's growing organically. So I don't even know whether ये जो बंदे हैं मेरे पास जो employed हैं, whether I will have work for them while I'm shooting or while I'm doing the post production of the feature film. So it grows in a very different way. So I do have an associate director, I do have an accountant, I do have the support staff, I do have a very small post production team, I have a pre team. So these people remain constant, but the rest, and I have an executive producer for ad films. Now I've got a producer on board as well. He's just joined us. Gurmeet Gulati, he's joined us. Uh, and so some people will remain constant, but the rest of the people can append and join us on a project to project basis. And that allows me the flexibility to think in any direction or to do whatever I want or beckons me creatively. As opposed to कि नहीं अभी ये टीम है, इसको अभी फीड करना है, तो इसके लिए ये मेरे को कंटेंट क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा. That's what it is.
So you worked on live action, animation, mixed live and animated films, and series and documentaries.
Yes.
What excites you the most?
What excites me the most? I think the story excites me the most.
Okay.
It is all about story right now. And I think increasingly stories that have value, that have a message, that have a human touch, a human story, they are the ones who attract me the most. So if I feel that I can touch, move, inspire, or change the world in one small way through my film, then I'm home. So these are the kind of stories that I'm beckoned with, whether it's Saeed Mirza's documentary, whether it is this film that I shared with you, the trailer of Invisible Visible, the Ek Koshish film, documentary on the homeless. I feel that, we as a country, we are so unaware of what is actually happening with the homeless. Come to think of it, Anil, there are 70 million people which are homeless, right? 70 million people. This is the size of the population of Germany almost. मतलब एक हमारा पूरा जर्मनी समाया हुआ है जो कि सड़क पे रह रहा है और हम उसके लिए कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं. And the reason why they are called the invisible visible is because they are visible to us, yet they are invisible, because we walk on the streets and we don't even know that they exist, because they're just there lying on that. And when Tariq used to come to my office, right, this gentleman who used to who I made the film on, when he used to come to my office sometimes to visit me, तो तारिक बोलता था कि सर आपके यहाँ पर ना एक होमलेस है, आपके घर आपके ऑफिस के बाहर ना एक होमलेस है जिसका घर है वहां पर. मैं बोला तारिक यहाँ पर मेरा कोई होमलेस नहीं है कोई यहाँ पर. बोला नहीं सर है, क्योंकि एवरी टाइम आई कम हियर आई सी दैट ही इज देयर. उसका वो घर है, चाहे वो झोपड़ा नहीं बनाया हो उसने, पर वो उधर ही वो रहता उधर ही है, मतलब ही इज स्टेज देयर. I said that's surprising. How come I've not seen him? He said no. Every time I come here, he's there. He took me there from the first floor. I saw down because we have French windows, and I saw down on the road, and I saw that indeed that man was there. So this is who we have become, so insensitive to people who are on the road, and this is us. This is me who thinks I'm a sensitive person. So look at people who really genuinely don't really care. I feel that I care, and yet I'm ignoring all this. So this is something that we need to bring out the plight of these people, because we've dehumanized them. We've dehumanized the marginalized people. What are they supposed to do? There are 70 million people which the state has forgotten or abdicated its responsibility for. 70 million people that the state has abdicated responsibility for. Okay, अगर कोई और उसके ऊपर कोई उस टॉपिक के ऊपर इस विषय के ऊपर कोई फिल्म नहीं बनी है. So I thought it was very very important to bring this topic up, to actually के कोई फिल्म देखे तो ये कम से कम बोले कि ये प्रॉब्लम एग्जिस्ट करती थी, हमने तो देखा था, बट इतने स्केल पे एग्जिस्ट करती थी और एक्चुअल स्टोरीज उनकी ये हैं. So to humanize the beggars, to show the people who are homeless and the destitute, to humanize them, that they are like you and me, they are not any different.
Yeah, but there's also institutionalized begging, which you've got to take a little care of. There are those who are actually homeless, and there's institutionalized begging where they have these, call them the gunda leaders who send these people out to do begging. I'm not saying all of them, but there is institutionalized begging. That's something I hope you've taken care of in the film.
I'll be honest with you, Anil. We have we shot for almost about 4 or 5 months, right? Across 4 or 5 months. And the issue that you're talking about, the mafia that you're talking about, it has been touched upon, right? It has been touched upon, but it is a myth, because it does not exist to the extent, even nowhere close to it, to the extent that we believe it does, right? Now this mafia is also essentially one individual who will probably be more physically stronger, and he will gather the power to himself, and he will make sure that the people who are there. So he's also a victim of the circumstances. He will make sure that everybody is doing his calling, and everybody is doing exactly what he wants to do. So it does exist. There's no doubt about that. But we're not touching upon that issue because when I talked about it, it was so minuscule, and we've got some of the top guys. We've got people like Harsh Mandar. We've got some of the top lawyers. We've got the Delhi Commission of Women ka jo chief hai, Swati Mahiwal. We got her. And nowhere it came across that this mafia is so big or so strong that whatever it is. The real issue is the plight of these individuals on the road. And there are some remarkable works also happening in this country, by the way. So it is not just that the film talks about taking the system on, but it also acknowledges where the system has worked. And there are some 2 states where there's some remarkable work. One is Delhi and one is Bihar, where some remarkable work has been done in setting up shelters. Okay. But also one of the most horrendous stories, which is the Muzaffarpur shelter scam, also is from Bihar. So we've covered that also. So we've covered some of the top officials at the joint secretary level, and we have covered the the lacunae in the system, and we have also covered the good parts in there. So it gives you the film gives you not only just a perspective, but it sensitizes you to the issue, but it also gives you a complete picture of what needs to be done next to alleviate the problem. And it's not going to cost a lot of money. That's another thing.
So that's great. I mean, the challenge is, you've won so many awards, but you still prefer to do socially relevant subjects. How much of an influence did your father have? Considering he made Garonda, Duriya, Ek Chidiya, how much growing up with your dad, did that lead you to get that social conscience?
I don't know, but I guess so. I mean, obviously, जब मैं 95 में मैंने जब 91 to 95, I was in Sheridan College. I was studying animation filmmaking there. And when I graduated from there, Dad and I together we collaborated with the National Film Board of Canada, and this was the first project that we actually. Of course, I was working with him before that, but I mean, I was working under him. But the actual collaboration between Dad and me was very short-lived between 95 to 98, because then I moved out and I started my own company. But in that period, the first project that we did together was 2 films for the National Film Board of Canada, and it was on child rights. So one of them was on the children working in the lock factory, and the other one was a film on child prostitution. So it was funded by UNICEF, and National Film Board was a co-producer.
Komal, right?
Sorry?
Komal.
Yeah.
You're talking about Komal.
No, we're not talking about Komal. Komal was in 2015. This
Okay.
was in 96.
Okay.
96. So it is a film called Trade, which won the national award.
Great.
Okay, it won the national award at that time. So automatically, I think somewhere the fact is that obviously I started off with Dad, and these are the first 2-3 projects I got by default, to be very honest. And I made it, and of course I wanted to be authentic about it, so I did it. But one of the things is also that over the years I've seen myself think deeper and deeper and immerse myself more and more. Maybe when I made those films initially, I was not thinking so deep, or I was not as empathetic that I am today, is what I feel. This I can say as a personal statement, is that I feel far more deeper for causes right now than I did at that time, because there were many other considerations कि भाई आपको घर भी चलाना है, ऑफिस भी बनाना है,
घर को एड फिल्म से चलाते थे ये।
हाँ, तो उस टाइम पे एड फिल्म्स मेन था। अभी एड्स मैंने काफी कम कर दी है, हालांकि एड्स करता हूँ मैं, बट एड्स अभी काफी कम कर दी है। तो उस टाइम पे तो ये था कि भाई पैसे कमाने हैं, क्योंकि I had no savings. I had to break off independently. I wanted to be independent from my father. So I wanted to have my own office. I wanted to have my own house. I got married recently. So also had my child recently. In 98, I had a child, and 97, I got married. So I wanted to kind of make sure that I'm at least financially secure. So money was a big driving factor, which perhaps was evident in my first 5-6 years, because I wanted to kind of make sure that I'm financially stable. Of course, then subsequently I made a lot of films on pedophilia, on various other issues, on child labor, on what have you, on corporal punishment, on child marriage, many other issues. So we did a lot of films on that. So I made about 22 odd short films, and most of them are on issues.
So how much of an influence did your father have?
I cannot quantify, but I would like to believe it. There was a strong influence, right? I mean, if you see how he started his career, and how he made एक चिड़िया एक अनेक एकता बनाई उन्होंने, और बाकी उन्होंने जो फिल्में बनाई थी वो भी इसी कॉजेस के प्रति, हालांकि वो उतनी पॉपुलर नहीं थी, पर उन्होंने ट्री ऑफ यूनिटी में काम किया था, बाकी फिल्मों में काम किया था। खैर उनका जमाना अलग था, क्योंकि उस टाइम पे दौर ही वो था, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट के साथ काम करते थे, आप फिल्म डिवीजन के साथ काम करते थे, और उसी तरह की फिल्में वो लोग खरीदते थे और इसी तरह की फिल्में बनाते थे, क्योंकि वो मुद्दा था उस टाइम पे गवर्नमेंट का कि भाई हमको यूनिटी प्रमोट करनी है, हमको यूनिटी इन डाइवर्सिटी प्रमोट करना है, हमको हेल्थ प्रमोट करना है, हमको सोशल कॉजेस, सोशल इश्यूज हम दो हमारे दो प्रमोट करना है। तो वही इश्यूज पे फिल्में बनती थी। तो मुझे ये नहीं पता कि मेरे फादर ने वो फिल्में बनाई ऑफकोर्स दिल से बनाई, पर इसलिए बनाई
कि उन्होंने खुद के पैसे लगा के 1-1.5 साल तक उनकी पिक्चर बिकी नहीं, फिर बाद में चली और फिर बड़ा बहुत मिले उसको करुणा को.
करेक्ट
Your
करेक्ट
father put all the savings into it.
करेक्ट
तो लगता है कि
correct. So he was a sensitive filmmaker. Even the other one, Duriya, which I consider better than Garonda, जो उत्तम कुमार और शर्मिला टैगोर के साथ थी. I consider it better than Garonda because it had, I think it had better songs, it had more sensitivity. पर ठीक है, वो Garonda के लेवल तक नहीं गई. पर कहने का मतलब ये है कि वो obviously the sensitivity existed in the house. That is definitely something that I have picked up. Social causes, dad was in and out of social causes, so he was making a lot of other stuff as well. So we did Vartaman again, which had a message. So having stories with a strong controlling idea or a strong message was an important part of all his narratives and remains an important part of my narratives as well. This is a common factor for sure. For sure.
you won awards for almost everything you've done, but you've not gone the commercial route of producing or creating continuing series for TV, like a lot of your colleagues have done. You kind of stayed, rooted in what you wanted to, not going into the continuing series, having creating a central character which works. Rajiv came in much after you, but his Chota Little Beam has really Chota Beam has grown big, has spawned
Yes.
franchises. You stayed focused on doing things that are closer to your heart.
Yes, I'll tell you why. क्योंकि मैंने भी एक सीरीज बनाई थी एडवेंचर्स ऑफ छोटा बीरबल. छोटा बीरबल आया था 2002 में, a good 6 years before Chota Beam. So I had been there, done that. It was an exciting space for me, but it wasn't paying at that time. It was the wrong time to come in. We were pioneers in that. I think Tenali Rama and Chota Birbal premiered on Cartoon Network together. So we were the first to come in there, and as a result of which we were paid very, very little money because channels were not paying at that time, and there was no competition to Cartoon Network at that point. उसके बाद competition आया, तो अभी जो है वो 25 लाख के आसपास अभी मिलता है, पर उस टाइम पे हमको करीबन $2,000 हमको मिले थे, जो कि per episode, which is like paltry amount, which is some 83,000 rupees at that time, considering the dollar price at that time. So it was very disappointing because I lost a lot of money. I put my house in as a collateral. I lost a lot of money. So I got a little disillusioned with the fact that, I lost so much of money and I made something which was so close to my heart. And I thought it had a great controlling idea and it was a series that the nation should watch. Subsequently, I have been pitching to channels over the years. Even now we're pitching. But the kind of stories that I have, even when I'm pitching for a series, right, for an animation series particularly, the kind of stuff that I have, that itself is very different from what the channels want. And I'm now somehow I'm not able to reconcile, or I'm not able to get in. The other thing is, of course, channels are today preferring a studio. I'm not a studio, I'm a filmmaker. Okay, so channels are preferring a studio. They prefer something that already has built up capacity to produce 2 episodes or 3 episodes a month, some 200, 300 people or 100 people or whatever. I do not have that capacity. So I try to align myself with studios and jointly pitch with some studios. I have not succeeded in that. It's not like I can tell you that it's not like I did not try, but I did not succeed for whatever reason, because there are certain deals that almost went through and then they fell off. So I did not know why that was happening. But the fact of the matter is, and to be honest to myself and to others as well, is that I've been distracted because I've been doing other things as well. I do not agree with a lot of the content that is coming on cartoon channels, to be very honest.
So tell
And
me,
I feel it's mundane, it's redundant. It is, a lot of it is trash. It is just humor for the sake of humor. It is just filling a time slot. Of course, it may engage the kids for 30 minutes, but there is no takeaway. And I wanted to do something that has a little bit more meaning. I don't want to put 2 years of my life and do something that I just makes me money, or just keeps me busy for 2 years, or that's it. And I've made a program for the sake of making a program. I want to make a statement through it. And if I'm not allowed to make that statement, then I feel somewhere, I feel like, I'm better off doing advertising and then making the films that I want to make, like Thief of Taj Mahal or Toonpur or Komal or Saeed Mirza Left is Sufi or this film that we are funding ourselves. So I'm better off with that because at least I am living a dream in that sense because I'm telling my stories. I tell you the stories that I believe in and on my terms. And they are doing incredibly well at festivals. Many of them are picking up national awards, and I'm happy about that. So I'm in that space right now, to be very honest.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
Your documentary, Said Mirza, was picked up by Netflix. Tell
Yeah.
us a bit more about how it came about.
So, as I told you, Saeed is my neighbor, and anybody who has met him will see how charismatic and how uh, powerful he is in his uh, understanding or his intellect. He's very, very powerful in his intellect. And when of course, I met him when I was a child because he used to come home sometimes to meet my father because my father had get together. So I knew him as a child, but then we disconnected. And when I moved here in Bandra, incidentally, I moved on the same floor that he stays in. So he's my immediate neighbor. And I told him, sir, I want to start interacting with him. I found him to be incredibly eloquent and a wonderful human being. And I thought he was an incredible man of substance. And of course, he's made only 5 films, and all 5 films have won national awards. And all 5 films are iconic, whether it is Salim Langde Matro, Mohan Joshi Hazir Ho, Arvind Desai ki Ajeeb Dastan, या फिर अल्बर्ट पिंटो गुस्सा क्यों आता है या नसीम, ये पांचों फिल्में इनकी आइकॉनिक हैं. मतलब people still talk about it and there are still remakes happening about it. Even Anurag Kashyap talks about it. All the young filmmakers are inspired by his work. So I said, sir, has somebody made a documentary on you? He said, because I think what you talk and how you express your thoughts and emotions, it needs to be captured for posterity. And he told me, no, nobody has done a documentary. He said, I would like to do a documentary on that. Is that okay with you? He said, sure, let's give it a shot. I gave him a treatment note. He liked it. And we were all set. And I shot him for 40 days. And we shot in Mumbai extensively, in all the locations where he had shot his film. Some of them remain exactly the same place after 35, 40 years. Exactly वही है जो जहाँ शूट किया था वैसे की वैसे ही है. और कुछ जो है कम्प्लीटली ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गए. जैसे लोअर परेल की जो एरिया मिल एरिया वो कम्प्लीटली ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गई. तो वो कुछ वैसे हो गए, कुछ वैसे हो गए. We shot him in FTI in Pune. We shot him in Ladakh as well because he goes frequently to Ladakh. We shot him over there, and we shot him in Goa in his house. He has a Goa में house. यहाँ पर भी है house, वहाँ पर भी है. So uh, we had a wonderful time, and it was personally very enriching for me to be with the man. Okay. And even though I meet him almost very, very frequently, almost every 2 days or 3 days, I'm meeting him because he's my immediate neighbor. But just to be with him is very enriching. So he's been a good influence in my life. I think a deep influence in my life in the recent past as well. I think a lot of what I'm doing right now, I owe it to him in terms of his thought process and his understanding of life is something that I'm also imbibing in mine. Of course, I had my own understanding, but just to think deeper on those issues is something that I think it might have come from him.
Yes,
And these conversations. Sorry?
how did it get picked up by Netflix? How did it get picked up by Netflix?
Okay. So 2015 is when I actually started working on the thing, and लोगों ने बोला यार तुम क्यों बना रहे हो, क्योंकि सईद मिर्जा ने तो फिल्में ही नहीं बनाई अभी recently. I said that's not the point. The point is, again, I am compelled to tell the story of this man, and I believe he's a wonderful guy. And he said, man, but I mean, nobody really knows him now, and he's he's a bygone generation. A lot of people told me that तू बना के करेगा क्या, तू पैसे डाल रहा है इतने, अपने पैसे डाल रहा है, अपना इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, तू करेगा क्या. मैं मतलब बना के रखेंगे, this is archival material, this is fantastic stuff, and I want to do it because also that I would like to understand more about who he is and what makes him big. And by the time the film got completed in 2016, Netflix came into the picture. Netflix was not there in India in 2015, or it may have come, but it was very initial days for them. But 2016 tak they had set up shop properly over here in India. And they viewed about 400 documentaries, and I believe they picked up only about between 10 and 20 of them. And if you see why the documentary has been picked up, you have to see the documentary, because it is, according to me, it's a very moving documentary. Not because I have done it only, but it's a remarkable subject himself, Saeed. So from that perspective, I think and we had Mahesh Bhatt in it, we had Sudhir Mishra in it, we had Kundan Shah in it, we had Aziz Mirza. So we had interviews from a lot of people from that era or that time, and so we took a lot of interviews from there. We put the film together, and we made a defining documentary on him. And Netflix immediately said yes, and they just wanted to pick it up, and we were lucky to have it with us.
The rights are reverted to you now, as you said.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at buyers for it, licensing it to other platforms.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay, and how did the film do on Netflix?
See, Netflix has a policy that they don't tell how many viewers and what is the rating of the film. You really don't ever get to know. But given the kind of reviews that we got, and these are not paid reviews, none of them are paid reviews. In fact, they were reviews that just came independently in Vogue. All of a sudden, they land up in my inbox. Or from Hindu, somebody wrote about it in the Hindu, or somebody wrote about. These are people whom I did not directly interface with or talk to. They just picked up the thing. They just picked up the film. They saw it on Netflix and they just thought they wanted to write about it. So they were wonderful reviews of the film. So it makes me believe. And then one independent website reviewed the film, and it said it is among the top 4 documentaries on Netflix across the world. Across the world. Now I can't validate that information, but I know that website is there. So it is not a very prominent website, but the fact is that it's a great validation for the fact that it's an important film. And of course, it has a IMDb rating of 7.9, which itself tells you how people are looking at the film. So I like to believe that the film has been extremely well received.
Thank you for that. The animation industry has got a bit of a leg up in recent times. What do you think has helped it? The animation industry has got a bit of a leg up. What do you think it has helped it? And what does it need to do to get further? When do we see it going, just head to with the international animation production and the ecosystem that Hollywood has set up for its animation, or Japan has set up for its anime, or Korea and China are doing so now?
Okay. So I believe that I don't know why things are not moving as far as the indigenous animation movement is concerned. Of course, things are moving, and we're producing a lot of content which is Indian for our own channels. But we're not able to make feature films, and I think a large part of it is also because of the distribution and marketing, and of course the fact that we have only 9,000 screens in India, and even smaller films, indie films, or even mid-sized films struggle to get that release, theatrical release. And I think a lot of the money is stuck also because of the fact that my funds don't come in for making feature films, largely because India is not a market for smaller films. So whether it be animation or whether it is, we're still stuck in the dharma and the YRF mode. And those are kind of films people want to go to the theaters to see the stars. And by and large, these animation films or indie films, now they are getting a very good release in the OTT platform. So there is value in these kind of content. But again, if you see the kind of animation films that Netflix is having, it is not necessarily for children. There is content for children as well, but there's a lot of adult content as well. So there is this emergence of this new genre. Now, what is happening in this is there aren't enough storytellers who are mature to tell stories in a sustainable way, whether it is for series or whether it is for a feature film. And that is something that is a challenge right now, because even though NID and IDC are extremely strong in animation and design, and some of the films that are coming out are fantastic, but they make 5-7 minute films. The people, I've worked with many people from NID and from IDC, and their biggest problem is that they are not able to write scripts that sustain in a long format, which is the moment you tell them to make a 90-minute film or a 75 plus minute film, they are not able to write a viable script. They are not able to have that focus and write that viable script. So I think a lot of the issues are pertaining to our storytelling ability in that space, in the long format space. The short film space we are able to handle. I will not want to get into the names of the studios and the names of the individuals, but if you look across the top studios, whether they are doing advertising or they are doing whatever, most of them are not able to tell stories beyond 10 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever. They may be able to do a series and all that, which is fine, but then that looks like it's writing for television. Writing for feature films is a completely different monster. It requires a completely different aesthetic, completely different ability, completely different understanding of structure, of the three-act structure, and narrative of the archetypal type. So the archetypal narrative is something that many of these individuals studios do not have that. So these are the challenges. I think it's mostly stuck at the story level at this point, to be very honest. This is my understanding. I mean, I could be wrong about it. And now, of course, animation is big because obviously lockdown hua hai, so animation studios are the only ones that are actually working. Shoots are happening, but they're very, very little, and there are too many restrictions. And animation studios have been up and about, and most of the studios have been able to set up their processes, and of course, work and still deliver. थोड़ा सा slow चल रहा है, but they are still able to deliver content, and so they are able to provide the series and they are able to feed the television with whatever they are doing. So maybe there's a lag of a month or two in there, but having said that, I think people are working from home, they're getting adjusted. Productivity may be about 20-30% lesser, but it's happening, and animation is therefore a preferred medium today in these pandemic times.
Yeah, good. So, you had an association with Sony for your film T for Taj Mahal. I watched it. Thank you for inviting me for it. I thought it was a pretty sweet film and quite inspiring. So what was the experience like? I mean, I never saw it in the theaters. I thought I would see it in the theater. I watched it in a trial theater with you.
Yeah. So basically, T for Taj Mahal, we started in 2017. And it had its own share of issues. I mean, in terms of the fact that it started off very well. My producer was extremely supportive, but we lost him in a tragic terror attack on the 31st night, December night
in
Turkey, right? And then of course there was a struggle to complete the film. I completed the film and we sold it as well to Sony. But there were some legal issues that came up because of the fact that Abis's, the producer's ex-wife, who was estranged from him but not divorced legally, she staked claim to the thing. Of course, that matter has been sorted out now. In the interim, we did take the film to several festivals, so the film did not stop, and the film premiered. The trailer of the film premiered at Cannes with Sony Pictures, and then subsequently the film premiered at the London Indian Film Festival, which was a very prestigious festival. It's been to 24 festivals across the world, and it has won 6 international awards. And the IMDb rating of the film is 8.8. So the film has been incredibly successful. We've got some fantastic reviews that have also been posted online. There's some remarkable things that happened with the film. We are now having a clear title, and we're looking to sell it. So that's where we are right now. But this pandemic came in the way, and so the conversations are going slow, but they are on. This is where the status is right now. So hopefully this year end, we should see the release of the film. Everything is fine. Sony is no longer associated with us because of the legal issue. Sony was backing us up initially, and it did take me to Cannes. But as I said, now we're pretty much on our own, and we're discussing with some leading OTT platforms to see how we can take it forward.
Excellent. So Abis was a junior when I was in Jain College. He was
okay.
5 years junior. He was in his 11th standard when I was doing my TY BSc. That's way back in the 80s.
Okay, so it's a wonderful guy.
He used to hang out together. Was a skinny, tall guy. And
he was He was an absolutely incredibly wonderful sweetheart. I mean, I miss him so much, and he's a very close friend that I lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
So we used to hang out on the steps of Jai Hind College, the famous
Right,
steps outside.
right,
And
right.
he used to have that floppy hair of his, very smooth. And when he was
Yeah,
young, I don't know how long you've known him, but
right.
knew him as a junior, as a
Yeah,
much
yeah,
very junior person to me, and very respectful, but also very bindas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
That
he was very humble human being. I mean, he was a very humble human being. So he was, I mean, again, he's almost like my neighbor, right? I mean, he stays in the same colony, same block, which is Rizvi complex. So we used to meet every night, and we used to discuss core stories and scripts, and there were big plans in place, and there was a slate of films that we were planning, and everything was in getting there, But unfortunately, whatever, fate has different plans. Life is what happens when you're busy making plans.
great. So the Sony Association of the Rights, your discussions are on now.
Yeah.
There's another thing, you work very hard for the creative fraternity. I've seen that with Asifa and all that. What drives you? I mean, come on, yeah, boss. You're not setting ambitions very high in terms of commercial success, or you don't, you're driven by art in a way. Any vows you made as a youngster with your dad?
I don't know. I mean, I guess my life has been more about purpose than ambition because I don't know. I mean, beyond a certain point, money has no meaning. I grew up with a silver spoon, and I saw that money really cannot solve a lot of things. Money is only the means to an end. It cannot be the end by itself. That was a very important lesson that I had, and it was different from my father because my father came from a different background. It was an end to him to a large extent. He was insecure about money to a large extent because he came from the partition days. They came penniless, so money was very important to him. But because I had grown up in a more privileged background, money was important, but not as much important. I knew that it would be a phase in my life I'd be just focusing on money. But at some point, it was more about what was driving me was what is the purpose of my life. So I've been asking this question to myself: what is the purpose of my life? And I think one of the things that I read a lot of J. Krishnamurti, I read a lot of books on philosophy, various philosophers. And when you look at what your purpose of your life is, there is only one thing that comes, you are part of nature. Just because you're wearing clothes, it doesn't mean that you're not nature. Just because you're living in buildings doesn't mean that you're not nature. You came from nature, you will go back to nature. And if you really want to understand what a human being's uh, purpose is, you have to look at nature because you are part of nature. You are part of star matter, right? You're indestructible. You're just going to change form. After you die, you're just going to change form. Not a single atom of yours is going to disappear. It is just going to dissipate and go somewhere else in some other form. It will not be in the same DNA. It will change the DNA, but it will just go there. Nothing gets created and nothing gets destroyed. It just changes form. And in that, the biggest answer that I got was if I have to look at what my purpose of my life is, that I have to look at nature, and nature is constantly giving. It is there to serve. And therefore, wanting to make a difference became a big theme of my life. And the reason why I came back from Sheridan also, I had a big job there, offer from Disney, and I would have been so rich, and I would have been so happy, and I would have been so much more comfortable driving a big Cadillac and living in a big, nice, big, huge house in California and Burbank. I would have met so many more important. But I felt that this is the country that needed me because this is where I could make a difference. So I came back here. And similarly, when I started the Animation Society of India, TASI, along with others, I had seen जो निस्वार्थ सेवा मैंने देखी उधर कैनबा में जब मैं शेरडन में सीख रहा था तो every weekend we used to go to Toronto. Our college was about 65 kilometers away from Toronto.
Which one was it? It was in Ottawa, right? Was it which of the?
It was in Oakville. It was in Oakville.
Okay, Oakland.
Okay, which is about 65 kilometers away or 65 miles away from Toronto. So every weekend we used to go there on a Saturday night, and there was this small theater there where they used to show National Film Board films, and the director would come and he would explain his techniques, because National Film Board films are all different techniques. So I found it wonderful, because in India, people were so jealous and insecure. They were not willing to share what they were doing. They were not willing to part with information and knowledge, which was really pathetic. I said, yaar, ye log to share kar rahe hain. The reason why they're growing and they're so much far ahead of us is because they're sharing. They share what they know. They share what they are as individuals as well. They expose their vulnerability as well. And it's so beautiful, because even they're exposing the vulnerability by saying, listen, I had an idea, but I don't know if it would work or not. That itself is sacrilegious over here. कि भाई आपको फिल्म बना रहे हो, आपको पता नहीं आपको बनेगी ठीक बनेगी कि नहीं, आप ये बोल रहे हो. So I felt that vulnerability was actually their strength, and their sharing was actually their strength, and that's how they were growing as individuals. And that body that used to conduct it used to be called the TAIS, which is the Toronto Animated Image Society. And TAIS used to organize these things. And I therefore resolved at that time कि यार इंडिया जाके मुझे ये बॉडी खड़ी करनी है, an equivalent of this, because I think there are very, very few of us, and if we don't interact and we don't share, this is a time that even today people believe that softwares can do the magic and animation is not done by artists but by software. So that myth existed. Even today it exists, right?
Not really. I think that myth has gone.
But it was so much more. And when we started TASI, therefore, then we started TASI. The first thing we did was we would have 200, 300 people visiting us, and the first thing we hammered for a few years, and was software is just a tool. If you do not know how to paint, you cannot do anything with Photoshop. First learn how to paint. You can always learn how to do Photoshop as a tool. You can use any paint software and you can learn it within a week. But painting will take you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to learn. And similarly for animation, and similarly for everything else in there. For texturing, modeling, if you do not know anatomy, you cannot be a modeler.
Sure.
Full stop. So the understanding of the basic principles of what defines and what makes a person skilled in a particular domain is something that we worked on. And a lot of what we saw progress coming out, the credit goes to TASI, because I ran it for 4 years. I did about 70, 80 events between 2001 and 2005, but subsequently it's running wonderfully. And I'm not been involved on a day-to-day basis. I'm not even in the committee. I'm just a life member now, an ordinary life member. But of course, I support it from the outside whenever they want something, and I've been on the jury sometimes. But the kind of selflessness that it started off with, it still exists today. And that's
you started it. You started up.
Well, there were 4, 5 of us, 6 of us. Yes, the idea was mine.
Look at what Abai is doing in Bangalore. That's a big shebang.
Yes, of course it is. It is. So I'm not aware of the Abai's activities as such. I know they have.
That's about 1 crore project each year.
Yeah, but I'm not
You'll
aware.
do it in Jehan College, or you'll do it in a smaller place, and you'll scrounge around, you'll ask around.
But I like it this way.
Let me finish. The animator is the heart of animation, the artist. And the way I think you'll have an opportunity to scale it up by speaking out and by reaching out and showing the collective power of the artist fraternity.
Yes, it's important.
Yeah.
So it is not just important.
And giving it the scale it deserves.
Yes. So
unlike today, where some producers, and I mean no offense to Biren or anyone who's on the organizing committee of Abai Fest or on the Hyderabad event which happens, I think Bombay needs to have a big event too, which is, we started doing the Kids Animation and More Summit. But again, we need more involvement from the artists. We need more engagement. We need more people to come and talk about the craft, the art. We need to hold masterclasses along with Camp Summit. We need, we started the Kids Animation and More Awards. We need more people coming on board. We need more contribution. We need more films to enter. We need more people to send in their entries. At the end of the day, I can't run it for free. So I have to charge some money. So what I'm getting at is we have to think of scale.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So United Artists was set up by 2 actors. And look where it went. And finally now it's part of a larger conglomerate.
Which one?
United Artists. It was a commercial thing. Charlie Chaplin and all of them got together to create it.
Yeah. So yes, I completely agree with you in that. Uh, what is happening with Tassie, to be honest, is not in my purview anymore, because Tassie obviously is doing some wonderful work, and I have limited or no say at this point. And I choose to keep it this way because I believe that it's doing its job and it's doing it well. At the same time, I completely appreciate what you've done with your thing, that you have also started an animation awards. And I was there myself, and I was there for the first edition myself, and I saw that it's a great initiative that you've taken up. Uh, Having said that, Tassie's objectives was to actually reach out to the grassroots and operate from the grassroots level, and to make a difference there in terms of sharing knowledge, not just to have fancy award ceremonies.
No, no, we looked at a day-long summit where we discussed, but we like more artists. We like more participation from Tasi in that, getting the artist community to talk about rather than just having broadcasters, producers. We like more artists to come and speak.
Right. So what Tassie, what at least what we started off and what it stays even today, is that we believe in one adage. The adage is you must not only give what you have, you must also give what you are. And that giving of the individual, right? If there is an artist there, if there is a person who's aspiring and he has no clue what animation is all about, and yet he's incredibly enthusiastic, can I support him in some way? Can I just give him one URL that he can reach out to where he can get the information from?
Sure.
I started writing blogs, and I started sharing links with people कि भाई ये पढ़ लो यार, सिर्फ ये पढ़ लो, ये books download कर लो, ये e-books download कर लो, ये कर लो, और ये books पढ़ लो, और यहाँ से शुरू करो, और ये tutorials देखना शुरू करो. Just that. ओके उसके बाद तो खैर इंडिपेंडेंट वो इंडिविजुअल का रिजॉल्व है जो उसको लेके जाएगा उसको अगले मुकाम तक, क्योंकि उसका खुद का भी विल होना चाहिए. But the idea is to help every single individual there. And even today, when I get messages from individuals, I look at the question and I feel that if they can get it from the net, I'm not going to answer it. But if I feel that it's something very specific and personal that they have, I respond. And I make sure that I respond in a way that even if I have to have multiple conversations with that individual, I support that individual, and I make sure that they are supported and they are led in the right path. Whether they choose to walk that path or not is something not my prerogative, but I will lead them to the right path. And that is something that is important because this is a service I have to give back to the industry that has made me what I am today.
Yeah.
That is important for me.
Fantastic. Looking forward next week.
Yeah.
We'd like to work closer with you guys, ensure that we get more artists involved, we get more masterclasses in place.
I cannot vouch for Tassie, but I can tell you certainly you have my full support and backing, and I'd be happy to be part of whatever help you need from there, and get as many people on board. And on the side, also with my father passing away in 2018, we started an award in his name. Right, we instituted an award in his name called the Bhimsen Animation Award. Okay, and we give 1.5 lakh rupees prize to the budding animator under 25 years of age, who shows promise and leadership towards building a better industry, and who shows a propensity or an ability to pay back to the industry and to help and mentor people once he or she succeeds. So we started this. So this initiative is already there. I'm collaborating currently with Tassie on that platform. Similarly, I think there's one initiative that has been done in Ramohan's name also. Similarly, I think even your platform can take on certain stalwarts and institute awards in their name, and you can work things out. And together we can build an industry, because I think right now the industry requires storytellers. We have the technicians, we have the artists, we have a lot of other people. But what's really missing in us, of course, is the ability to tell stories. And I think a lot more workshops are required in that space.
Yeah, I'd love to have writing workshops. We've run writing workshops in 2002, 3, 4, 5 called Kalam, where people are currently writing for television today. They wrote many, many episodes. Of course, that's commercial television, but even that is a craft which requires a lot of skill sets. Some of them have gone on to write for OTT. So I'm very open to working, and we are very open at Animation Express to work on anindiantelevision.com at Content Hub. We, in fact, have a lot of sessions with directors, writers. We have masterclasses. We have writers coming and talking what went into the making of that show. I'd like to get more writers from animation to come and talk at Content Hub and set up separate platforms along with establish people so that we can communicate writing, because treatment is very, very crucial. Characters are very, very crucial.
Right.
What happens in India is we don't treat animation the way we should treat animation, especially the long form. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So,
Absolutely.
so
No, I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. That is the need of the hour right now, and the opportunities are huge because Netflix is looking for stuff, and they did scout here, and they did not find any.
yeah. So I had a session with Monica Shergill 2 days ago. You can watch
Yes.
it on Facebook on Indian television, where she
Yes.
said she's more than open. Arjun Madhavan asked questions around. Arjun is assemblage entertainment, where he asked questions around, will Netflix take more animated? She said, yes, please come. My arms are open for it. And she's the vice president of content for India, Monica Shergill.
Right.
You can watch the interview. It was there a couple of days ago.
Correct.
So coming back again, so you got your DNA from your dad. What have you given your little one? Not so little anymore.
So Kabir is he's 22 now.
Absolutely.
He just graduated while the pandemic was on. He graduated, so he gave his exams. He was studying in Ashoka, and he has already made 7 short films.
Oh,
Yes, he has already made 7 short films, and most of them are highly acclaimed short films. One of the short films has in fact been selected to about 40 to 50 festivals as well. So he's won 5 international awards already. He's been called to major festivals in Hong Kong and in Morocco and in Italy. So
please enter his festival for the Digicon Awards. Enter his film for the Digicon Awards.
Yes, sure, I will do that because I think he has his own producers which are different from me, and they do that process. So I really don't look into it myself, to be honest.
Connect him with us. We'll explain to him what the process is. So he might win again if he's that good, like you say he is, which I'm presumably he's a chip of the old block.
Yeah.
And you're a chip of the old block.
Yes. So it's sort of running in the family, and of course he's doing well on his own. So he's right now working on a web series as well, which he has just secured a contract for. So he's doing it, and he started his own company independent of me, which I'm very, very happy about. And all this happened during the lockdown in the past 2 months. So he's also shot a film during the lockdown, and it's come out to be it's a wonderful short film that he has shot. He's not into animation. He's entirely into live action. Having said that, he's done some films with visual effects and other things also in the past. So yes, he's showing promise at this point, and I hope it continues because I think he has a lot of potential ahead of him if he stays focused on the issues.
So, and your wife herself she's been the producer on the Side Mirza film that you all made.
Yes. So my wife actually, she is an educationist. She started off as an animator with me, and then we got married, and she was interning with me when I proposed to her, and of course then she came in on board, and she worked with me as an animation director for several projects, commercial projects. But usko jama nahi. She was more interested in education because that's where her heart lies. So she started Toon Club in 2002, and Toon Club over the years has shown some incredible work and incredible body of work. She has won 32 international awards. In fact, she just concluded the first ever Indo-Polish workshop with children, which she did yesterday. It concluded yesterday. So, and now she's in talks with other countries as well. So it is for the first time, and I think it was covered with an Animation Express also. So thank you for that. And this is something that is such an important thing because we had 10 children from India and 10 children from Poland, and everything was happening over Zoom. And this is the first time that she was also very nervous whether she can actually get children to animate in their homes and produce films purely based on instructions given by tutorials that she created and instructions coming through Zoom video calls. And it worked out wonderfully because the films are well on their way to being made. The films have been submitted already. She has to compile them and she'll put it up. And I'm sure that we can carry it with Animation Express also once more. Again, she is she's given the kind of work that she's doing internationally. There is a huge respect for what she does because 32 international awards. I don't know of any other
So do you all have a warehouse? Your son's got awards, your dad's got awards, you've got awards, you got some, I don't know, 50, 100, I don't know how many. Where do you keep all the awards?
अभी तो यार अनिल वो सारे के सारे जो है ना वो अंदर पड़े हुए हैं, मतलब ऑब्वियसली जितनी जगह थी वो कंज्यूम हो गई है, अभी सारे के सारे जो है वो ड्रॉर्स के अंदर पड़े हुए हैं, सारे के सारे ड्रॉर्स के अंदर पड़े हुए हैं, मतलब 80% ड्रॉर्स के अंदर पड़े हुए हैं, but that's okay. I mean the point is अभी क्या कर सकते हैं, you know, you can't, I mean already the office is full of, it's littered with awards all over the place. So in fact so we just, you know, like she just won her fourth Vicky Frames Award just 2 months ago, right? And so she's been giving away the trophies to the children. So because she has no space, so a lot of these things have been given away as well. So
Any secret ambitions you harbor? Any secret creative ideas you want to execute going forward? Any pet peeves around animation? Because you know, last 2 or 3 months, animation has been a part of few small short films, but overall, you seem to be looking at more of the live action, documentary, etc. format.
Yes. So I while the lockdown was on, I had a couple of writers working with me on a feature film. So we've finished the feature film script and we're pitching it right now. So that's the one that we want to take it forward. And it's a wonderful short story of a small town called Bijnor. And I will not reveal the story to you, but it's a wonderful story about a family full of girls and the misogyny and the patriarchy that runs in our society. So it's all about that. And it's a very quirky film. It's a dramedy space. So it's an
I thought you were going the Karan Johar route. When you said
never.
I said misogyny, I said, all right, corrective, course correction.
Never. That is something that you would never say. I mean, I like Karan's movies and I think they have a purpose, right? But there are many filmmakers out there. I'm not talking about Karan, I'm not talking about Yash Raj, I'm not talking about others. But there are many people who are out there who have sold their soul to the devil to become commercially successful. And I'm not talking about, again, Dharma or this, but I'm talking about many, about 60, 70, 80% maybe of the people have sold their soul to actually make commercially successful films. And
what's wrong with that, please?
I am a different person. I don't want
making commercially successful films. You should
No.
also get that.
I am talking about compromising on ideas, compromising on creativity,
Okay.
and
I get it.
Making projects, not making films, not making cinema. There's a problem there. Okay, I want to make a commercially successful film also, by the way.
Sure.
And if you've seen Tifa Taj Mahal, anybody who saw it, I don't know if
I've seen it. I liked it.
But anybody who saw it said that this film will be commercially successful as well. So I wanted to make a commercially successful film. I don't know what your view is, but many people who saw Tifa Taj Mahal said this will do extremely well even in cinemas because of the heart that it has or the soul of the film. So a lot of people told me that as well, despite the fact that we did not have a say-level star cast, but it will still do well because of the budget that it is making. It will still make money.
See, it's a good story. It's an interesting concept of a man who sets up a dhaba and he tells people to pay for the food by teaching the kids and improving the educational standard over there. It's a cute film and the challenges he faces, etc. And finally, he gets back his dhaba. He gets back a place to teach the kids along with youths and foreigners. It's cute. My challenge was that you know you need to be, and you've won a lot of awards, and I'm positive it can do well. Let it find the right platform now as you go out and market it and sell it to maybe a community. Let it find the platform. Let the message go further.
Yes, absolutely. That's the whole idea that we're looking for that right now. It is unfortunate that a series of missteps happened along the way, but I also believe that every single film has its own destiny. I am a believer of that. And you know, it did incredibly well at the festival route, and I'm sure that it will do well on the OTT platforms also as and when it comes out. So I'm pretty sure about that.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Nice, interesting.
My pleasure.
There is Vinay is saying, Kirit, loved your spiritual thought. Well said, sir. I mean, you're winning fans all over, man.
Thank you so much.
And
That's not, that's credit goes to you. That's a part of your questioning. This is not a side that I usually talk about, but you're probing and you're questioning in that direction. Why is it that you know, whatever. So I'm just sharing my insight. A lot of it comes from the books that I've read and kind of the environment that I've grown up with, obviously. A lot of that.
All kudos to Bhimsen Khurana. All kudos to Kirit Khurana. All kudos to your wife, and all kudos to your son Vishal. All lots of success. Dad, wherever he is, he must be smiling down and saying, "Son, I'm proud of you."
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time with me, and thank you for sharing your time with the audience.
Absolutely a
Again,
pleasure.
have a great evening, and congratulations, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
And I will always be a support for the work that you do.
Thank you.
And please count me in for anything that you may need.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.